Hey engineers, this is Mr. Hernandez, and in this video I'm going to go over the instructions for the next part of the Design Your Dream Room Tinkercad 3D modeling assignment. Now for this assignment, I just want to let you guys know up front, it's going to be a little bit different from previous ones because I'm not expecting you guys to follow my instructions here exactly. For this assignment, you're going to be taking 3 features that need to be in your room and you're going to be modeling them, and eventually we're going to add them to the actual room in Tinkercad so we can fill it out. But for this one, like I said, you're just going to take 3 of them and you're going to make them for yourself. Now, because everybody has their own room, I can't show you guys one specific thing to make. So I'm going to walk you guys through one example. That way you guys can see the process that you're going to go through, and then you're going to repeat that process on your own. So let's go ahead and take a look at the assignment here. So you can see it says Design Your Dream Room Part 2, and scrolling down, there's the exact same brainstorming with the main purpose and the must-have features and furniture, and if there's still time section. All of this stuff you can copy directly from the previous parts. So you're not going to create a new room here, it's a continuation. So for example, if this was, this is the example that I've been using. So the main purpose is a board gaming room, and these are some of the features that I want to have, like shelves and a table. You can go ahead and copy and paste those straight into the Dream Room Part 2. That's actually what you're supposed to do. It's also okay to change your mind a little bit here if you change these up. But what I want to point out here is that these must-have features and furniture, those are the things we're going to be trying to 3D model today. Now, I saw a lot of people that want to make a living room or like a video game room. So the example that I want to go over right now is actually not any of these. I'm going to be replacing the chairs here with a couch, and I'm just going to walk you guys through how you're going to make these things when they don't have specific dimensions to go off of. So let's scroll down here. So I'm just going to read through these. So you're going to pick at least 3 of the must-have features. I chose a couch for the first one. 2, you're going to look up the actual sizes of those objects. So for some objects, like let's say you want to have like a brand new Xbox in there, so like an Xbox Series X. If you look up something that's that specific, you can find the exact dimensions. You might even be able to find the exact dimensions that are already in millimeters, so you can save some steps. But for a lot of other things, like a couch, there are many different types of couches, and so you're going to have to basically do a little bit of research and do a little bit of conversion here. For my example for the couch, I am just going to look up the type of couch that I think would look nice, and the one that I picked, I found one that actually I think would fit, so I'm going to go with this one. And what you can do here is find the dimensions of the object you're trying to make. So here I can see that the dimensions are, the couch is 90 inches wide, 36 inches deep, so front to back, and 38 inches tall. Now obviously those are all in inches, so before I can move forward, I need to convert those to feet. So let's start off with the width. So that's going to be 90 inches. I'm going to divide that by 12 to convert that to feet. So this is going to be 7.5 feet wide. Okay, so that is the first part. Now the depth is 36 inches. So that's going to be 36 over 12, which is exactly 3. That's very convenient. And next we have the height, which is 38 inches high. So 38 over 12 gives us 3.166. So 3.166. And then it's the same process as we've done before. We're going to convert to millimeters and then shrink them down. So I'm going to take that length, 7.5 times 305 gets us millimeters. That's going to be 2287.5. And I'm actually just going to fill these in straight away. So I'm going to multiply this by 0.02. And that gets to 45.75. Okay, so the next value is that 3 feet. Alright, So those are the overall dimensions of the couch example. So let's jump into Tinkercad now, and let's see how we're going to make this. Now, you're going to do this as a new design, not opening up the original design of the room. And when we're looking at this, this is something that you have to just kind of play around with, and you're going to find the best ways for your design. So for example, let's take a look at these dimensions. These are the overall dimensions. This is the length, width, and height of the entire couch. But when I'm making this, the couch is not a solid rectangle. It's not a solid box. It's sort of got a lower section with the lower cushions. It's got arms on both sides, and then it has the back cushions. So I'm going to play around with this a little bit. So I'm going to start off by making a box that's the right length and depth. That way I can kind of set up the bottom, but we'll have to play with the height a little bit here. Let's start off with a rectangle, or a box. This is going to be 45.75 millimeters across. It is also going to be 18.3 millimeters deep. And this is, like I said, where you have to play with things a little bit. So looking at the couch, it looks like the base here only goes up, I'm going to say that's about a quarter of the way up. So if it's only going up about 1/4 of the way up, so I only want to make this box about 1/4 of the total height. Total height is 19.3, so you don't need to be exact here. I'm going to make this only 5 millimeters tall. Okay. And there are many ways to proceed from here. The way that I would look at this is that this is basically the bottom half of the couch. I'm going to make a copy of that so that I know that this is the right width. I'm going to rotate it to stand up and bring it over here to be placed on the build platform. And I'm going to use the arrow keys to sort of nudge it into place here, because this is going to be the back of the couch. So you can see it's in place there, and this is what's going to set the height. So since this is standing up now, I'm going to set this to that 19.3 millimeter height. So now our couch has a bottom and a backing to it. And now what we can do here is, okay, so I can see that the back, it's not sharp edged, it's kind of rounded over. So I can add that here by clicking on the back and then picking radius on this little window here, and I can increase that. Now for consistency, I'm just going to type in 1.5. I'm going to try and use that value as much as possible. Alright, so that is the back of the couch. So now let's add some arms to it. Now this is something where there's really no dimensions listed. So this is really just going to be going by appearances. So I can see the arm looks like it goes up about 2/3 of the way up. And I know that it's 19 millimeters tall, so 2/3 puts us at about 13 millimeters tall. Notice how I'm not doing any calculations here. I'm just going by sort of appearances and whether or not it looks like it fits properly. Same thing with the width of this. So I don't believe that there's a dimension of this listed, but I can see it's not going very far across. So I think that's about right. And in looking at this, I think it looks like it's a little bit too tall. So I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. And that looks a little bit better. So I'm going to nudge it over so that it's right on the edge. All right, that seems to be all right there. Now, this couch has an armrest on both sides, so I'm going to copy that and then use the arrow keys to send this one to the other side. And before I do anything else, the armrests are also curved over, so I'm going to add a radius of 1.5. All that does is it kind of rounds over the edges of the rectangle, like you can see here. So instead of sharp edges, it has nice soft edges like a cushion. Okay. So those I would consider to be all of the solid parts of the couch, all the ones that don't come off. So I'm going to join all of those. And now there is still something missing here. This couch has no cushions. So I'm going to add some cushions with another rectangle or another box. So this one I'm going to place here. I'm going to lift it up so it's sitting on the base. And on the image, the cushions are a little bit smaller than the armrests. So I'm going to keep them. And again, I'm going mostly based on looks here. So they're about halfway up. That seems fine. And this is where you get some freedom to change things up. I'm going to make this with just one big cushion in the middle. But you could also instead break it up. So you could have, go halfway across and duplicate it so that you can have two cushions side by side. It's all just about how much detail you want to put into each individual feature. So here, there's my cushion. I'm going to give this a radius of 1.5. And there's still one thing missing. I think this couch needs a back cushion as well. So just like with the first step, I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to stand it up. And I'm going to position this in the back of the couch. Just using the arrow keys to line that up. Okay. And this is where you can just double check to see if everything looks like it's doing, or it looks the way that it should. So here I can see the back cushion is sticking up quite a bit, whereas on the actual image of the couch, it doesn't look like it does that quite so much. So I'm going to shrink down that cushion, and it also overlaps on the edges. So I'm going to shrink this down a little bit that direction, and then I'm going to extend it out on these sides. Now you might notice that it's sort of overlapping with the armrest a little bit. That's okay. This is already a decent amount of detail. You can of course go further than this, but I'm not expecting you to, because of course you have other objects you still need to make. Now the last thing I'm going to do here is set the colors. So just to have a little contrast, I'm going to make these two slightly different colors. I'm going to keep the general brown color of the couch that you see there, but I'm just going to make these not exactly the same color. That way you can see some differences here. And there you have it. So this is the couch. Last thing that you need to do is come over here to the shapes collection, and you can add this to the shapes collection. That way, as we finish this up, you can add this to your room later on. So that's going to be one object there. And you're going to repeat that process for two more objects. So depending on your design, you're going to pick one of the other items here. So like the next thing that I would probably do is the table. Things like tables can be really quick because there's a lot of very rectangular pieces. The legs can be rectangles coming up, and then there's a thin rectangle for the top. And like I said, you can definitely go to like websites, to stores are a good source for overall dimensions, especially for furniture. And in order to finish this off, you're just going to build 3 of them. You take the screenshots and apply them down here. And once you have 3, you are done. Now you can make more if you want to, but that's not required. I'm going to wrap it up here because this is the general process you're going to go through no matter what objects you're using. So if you have specific questions, feel free to email me or come to office hours. Please don't leave this one to the last minute because you are going to need time to look up all those objects. All right, engineers, good luck with this. Looking forward to seeing the end results.